Hey guys, welcome back, Blessed Be. First, I want to thank the person that mentioned Bacchus because it set something off. Way back in the Stone Age when we used to fight dinosaurs with laser cannons, I worked with the Greek gods, and I was like the world's worst Catholic. You were the world's worst Catholic when you were working with Greek gods, and rationalizing it because Greece is really close to Rome, so they're almost like Catholic saints. It's so terrible. It's the same thing with the Roman gods. That's like the world's worst Catholic. They're just like saints. And you'd ask the gods, they'd be like, yeah, we're just like saints. Because gods will lie to you for your own good. They will. Because I was even I went for a walk and I was talking to, um, yeah, no, I'm trying to blank, talking to Odin and Loki. And they're like, yeah, well, we lied to you and told you it was us because you weren't ready to let them back in. And of course, they sent Hecate first because all these dogs have been going nuts lately. And you know, she's associated with dogs. And I was like, Lakeba? I was even like, Lakeba, Anubis, who's doing this thing with like the dogs? And it was none of them. It was none of them. It was Hecate. She to me, most people that encounter her, she's like big and scary. But since I had health problems from a little girl, like the death gods, the underworld gods, they've never been like really scary to me. They're really cuddly and soft to me. I know that sounds terrible and disrespectful to some people. They're like, no, she's terrifying, and I'm like, no, she's okay. As long as you own your stuff, she's okay. Like they're being nice and mellow now because I'm listening, but the dog's going nuts is kind of a spooky thing. So I'm going for this walk. And I had told this person, I said, I'd like a sign. I should ask for a sign. And I just said offhand, I'd like a sign. Found a pine cone in the middle of the road. Well, not middle of the road, but by the side of the road. And I'm like, oh. And then, of course, had a thing with Pan. And I can tell Pan between Loki trying to be Pan. There's a difference. And I won't mention the difference because Loki doesn't need to know it. And he's probably listening. Even though he was like, go play, go have fun. And the second thing I found was a piece of metal, forged metal. People that know their Greek and Roman gods are going to be like, oh, girl. And I know this seemed kind of gross to pick up, but like there's like a lot of symbolism on it, like the lightning bolt and the runner and like the brain. And, like, if you know your Greek mythology, you're like, oh my god, how did they get all that on one bottle, right? And, like, that kind of looks like a heart, but that kind of looks like a symbol for someone else. Oh, and then I still found it, the wild honeybee, and this is going to go back outside. And I made sure there were no bees left in this. I'm not suicidal. But the wild honeybee comb. And after I find all this, I'm just like, I can't even, like, doubt it and ignore it at this point. And then, as I'm, like, you know, speaking to who I'm speaking to, which it's a lot to process, they're like, oh, by the way, guess why you've been seeing so many crows and rabbits? And I'm like, well, it has something to do with the Greek gods. They're like, no, honey. Remember all those terrible people that told you we weren't real and you couldn't work with us, and then they told you how dare you work with Native American, how you want to call them? I don't know. You call them spirits, gods, what have you. You know how you were told not to work with them? Guess who wants to know why you haven't talked to them in like 50 years? I'm not like that old, but you know I'm like, oh, that's where all the crows and rabbits are coming from. I'm so sorry. Because when I was a kid, and I was real tiny, I thought nothing of, like, when I had a classical education, and by that I mean, like, you had to learn the mythologies from all around the world. So when I would learn about rabbit and crow and everything, I didn't really think it was strange that they showed up in my dreams and talked to me. And they at least never made a big deal about me being who I am. It's like, why are Greek gods talking to me? I don't know. Do I look Greek? And La Santa just looked at me and said, you don't really look very Mexican either, Mija. I'm like, okay. yeah, so they came back too, and it was just like really overwhelming. They're all like, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" Because I was like almost tripping over rabbits. There was like a rabbit here in the park today, and like a baby bunny over there, and it's like, oh my god. Ah! So, all this stuff. And I was telling the gods, I'm like, seriously, I have no altar space left. Where am I going to put you all? And they're like, oh, we can all share. And I looked at the Norse gods, and they're like, we don't care. Like, I can just have all the stuff I have now and realize it can represent more than one person, and they're fine with it. They're not like, they were even like, no, don't run out and get more statues and more books and that. We're just going to pop in and out when we want to, but, you have to open your heart to the fact that we're here and we didn't go anywhere and no one else went anywhere. So I think that's a really good lesson. And it's a really good lesson for us today, because so many people today, and no offense to my viewers, but the vast majority of people I had tell me this are white people, not like people of the culture. It's like the people of the culture, they're like, they either think you're a fool or they are happy you're doing it or whatever. But they usually, in the vast majority of cases, are not the ones that are going to come up and tell you something. It's usually white people. There was like one white woman on Hub Pages that was absolutely stalking me. Every time I wrote an article, she's writing her hate crap on it, because she only worked with gods that white people are allowed to work with. And now that I think back on it, she was like probably one of those white power people, and they make me barf. So, like, she was telling me, you can't work with this god, and you can't work with that god, blah, blah, blah. But I'd already gone through that years before. And I told her to shove off, because no one talks about La Regina that way, and that's why I call her La Santa. And I call her La Santa because I can't pronounce her name in the original language. Anyhow, it's like the gods couldn't make it any clearer that they pick you, and the gods that pick you, pick you. Some people are, they end up with one pantheon, and that's all the gods that ever contact them, and that's how they're happy. But some of us, we get like this really global pantheon. Like, I'll have so many X amount of gods from this pantheon will talk to me, and we'll get along. And I've never run across a pantheon I hated, but you run across pantheons that maybe you're neutral to. Like, there'd be like, okay, like if you passed each other on the street, you'd wave to each other and be respectful because they're gods, but you don't feel drawn to them. And I was like, oh no, then the Morgana's gonna come back. Everybody else, oh no, because Loki's been doing a lot of lying lately to cover up for everybody coming back, but it's like, you should feel the energy in the house now. I'm gonna do some smudging and stuff and welcome them all back. And the funny thing is I was coming back, the ball fields were open. And I got a hamburger and I got funnel cake. And the funnel cake tastes like it's like made with honey. I'm like, how much more Greek do I want? Like hamburger and like funnel cake. Everybody would say, well, that's German, but think of it, like even if it's German, and by the way, Pennsylvania Dutch are Dutch, they're not German. Sorry to ruin your life, but it was like a blend of everything. And the Norse gods are happy because the Greek gods are back, and they're gods in my experience. They're like, you have to pay respect to the gods that love you and want to be with you. You can't go run and hide and be like that. So yeah, they're all actually happy because the gods that belong here are here. And ironically, years and years ago, and I have a statue of her. Oh my, what's her name? It's not Phoebe. What's the name of the bath attendant? Was she Apollo's bath attendant? Or Ares or someone? I'll get back to you on that. But I have her statue, and I didn't even know why I'd gotten the statue, and I had to look it up, because they had just told me it was some kind of random statue, because I think I was in my super Catholic denying pagan phase at the time. And she's known for being a klutz, and I'm like, that's perfect goddess for me, because I'm always dropping everything and destroying stuff. So yeah, it's been quite a trip. I think that's what the crows were trying to tell me about all this change coming, and like Hecate is known for change. And the person that mentioned Bacchus, and I'm like, oh my gods, that used to be one I used to hang out with when I would hang out with the gods, and like to me that's what it's more like. I'm not like super religious. I know you guys see like all the altars and that, but I've never been into high magic or anything. I don't have the discipline for it. It's like drop by and we'll like hang out and I'll talk to you and I'll pray to you and stuff and like give you offerings, but I'm not like, I probably could have never made it as a temple priestess. I'd be like, can we just sit down? Bastet's back here in the background, like, you would have been a great priestess. You could have been my priestess. You'd have been awesome. Yeah, so Basti's here and everybody else. Oh my goodness, yes, Bastet's always been here and Nubis has always been here and whew. Oh, so many gods in this house. And I'm lucky. I consider myself blessed. And they're not all fussed about all having an altar or something, so it's not like there are going to be like 50 mini temples outside or something. I would do it, but they're like, yeah. And two, the fact that a lot of flowers came up that I know I didn't plant, like poppies and stuff. I'm like, okay, somebody's saying something. So, there you go, guys. Whew, that explains the crow feathers, I believe. Partly crow, partly Loki, partly Hecate announcing their arrival. You know, you can get like 50 different messages from stuff sometimes. And I'm gonna find a place to put all this swag I got today. Somewhere, probably outside, just because I'm like paranoid that there's like, even though I checked it and triple checked, I'm paranoid there's like one bee left in the honeycomb. And somehow it's gonna crawl out at 2 a.m. and bite me in the nose or something. But that would probably explain all the strange occurrences like dragonfly and that too, because they represent change. So there you go. And it's funny. I like have so many stories I could tell you now that I know I didn't make them up about like you know, Pan getting me into eating wrapped grape leaves, and I used to love this Greek restaurant. I used to insist my parents go to it, and they're like, "Why do you like Greek food? We're not even Greek." And I used to have like all this Greek stuff in my house, and then long story. But yeah, I've missed them, so it's good to have them back. And I just call them Greco-Roman, so if I make a mistake and I have one from this I say a name from this pantheon, a name from that pantheon, I'm covered, because you guys know, no memory up here. But it's good to have them back. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. I'm just happy. I'm going to play some music now and do some smudging, just, you know, lift the energy of the house, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.